People cry alone in bathrooms while their kids sleep in the next room. People breathe for the first time in weeks only when their spouse goes on a trip. And some will never admit they regret the family they built. Not because they hate their children, but because they erased themselves to become what everyone else wanted. Marry, have kids, do everything right. From the outside, they look like accomplished adults. On the inside, a quiet funeral for the life they never lived. And the tragedy is this: most will die believing the problem was them, not grateful enough, not spiritual enough, not mature enough. The truth is simpler. They were never allowed a choice. Jordan Peterson says that if you do not want children, you are immature. That your entire lineage reproduced, therefore you must reproduce too. But if your neighbor spends the whole day smoking weed and throwing diapers out the window, does that make him more mature than Leonardo da Vinci? You see the absurdity. This is not anti-marriage, not anti-children. It is about one thing: freedom. The freedom to not have to justify your life to anyone. Not a conservative guru, not your mother, not God. Maybe you were born to be a parent. Maybe you were not. But if you never gave yourself the space to ask that question calmly, you are not living. You are obeying. One day you wake up in the middle of your life and realize you never chose anything. Someone carried you here. You called it destiny. Since childhood, you were trained to follow the sequence, not with orders, but with praise, comparisons, and well-timed silence. Those who obeyed received affection. Those who deviated became the problem. And like someone assembling a puzzle without seeing the picture, you followed. School, work, serious relationship, marriage, kids, always on time. But on time for who? The cruelest form of control is the one that looks like freedom. The life script, marry, reproduce, build a family, is not divine revelation. It is cultural conditioning, transmitted so gently that no one dares to question it. Questioning sounds ungrateful. Refusing looks like failure. They say forming a family is the peak of maturity. But underneath that slogan is a trick. Calling maturity the ability to repeat what everyone else has done. When tradition becomes obligation, it stops being guidance and becomes a prison. A prison where you smile in pictures while quietly planning your escape. And worst of all, you feel guilty for wanting out. No one needs to watch you anymore. You police yourself. You feel strange for not wanting the same things. You wonder if you're broken. No one taught you there is life outside the pattern. Choosing differently is not a mistake. It is a right. But few exercise that right. The pressure is not loud. It is quiet, steady, emotional. It does not command, it suggests. By the time you notice, you are inside. You made promises, signed papers, bought the house, had the kids. And then, too late, it hits you. None of this was choice. It was fear dressed up as common sense. If every generation before you repeated the same error, does that make it less of an error? This is the logic behind one of the oldest ideas disguised as wisdom. Your ancestors all had kids, so you must too. It is not philosophy, it is repetition. Something happened before, so it must happen again. But history is not a stamp of approval. History is simply what survived. If everyone before you went to war, should you? If everyone before you lived under empires, should you refuse democracy? The biological argument is just as thin. Yes, humans are wired to reproduce. We are also wired to die. Biology describes, it does not dictate. And the desire to continue the lineage is understandable. But the moment it becomes moral obligation, it stops being desire and becomes doctrine. Reproduction can be an act of love. It can also be an escape. Escape from loneliness. Escape from the void. Escape from the responsibility of building meaning on your own. Some people prefer repeating to thinking. For them, every different choice feels like a threat. Thinking requires courage, and real thinking often breaks tradition. We all want freedom, but we will give up anything not to be alone. This is the existential knot. We trade autonomy for company, even when that company crushes us. This is why so many marriages are punitive and still endure. Why so many people have children not out of love but fear. Fear of aging without applause. Fear of sickness without someone to pick up the test results. Fear of dying unnoticed. But do children save us from loneliness, or just delay it? Schopenhauer wrote that solitude is the fate of every exceptional mind. Instead of accepting it as part of being alive, we erase it through manufactured bonds, rushed relationships, irreversible commitments. Modern psychology agrees. The panic of being alone is often the panic of meeting your own mind. We cannot face the internal noise, so we bring another human into the world to fill the silence. A cruel paradox. We create lives to avoid meeting ourselves. Family photos lie, advertisements lie, holiday portraits lie. Real life breaks the illusion in therapy rooms, divorce court, and unread messages. The fear of ending up alone already forced millions into living accompanied by mistake. A shared mistake is still a mistake. Children are not a vaccine against emptiness. Marriage is not armor against existential pain. The ancient Stoics knew this. Apatheia was not coldness, it was clarity. You do not live well by avoiding pain. You live well when you stop needing others to justify your existence. Knives cut, cups hold liquid, beds are for sleeping. But what is life for? The modern trap is treating life like a tool, something that must have a purpose, a function, a mission. That is how all the talk about legacy and duty emerges, as if life were designed with instructions. Existentialism cuts this illusion. Existence comes first, meaning comes later, and only if you want it. If someone tells you the purpose of life is having children, they assume life is a hammer built to hammer. But life is not designed. Remove the designer, and the purpose dissolves. This is why tradition comforts. Marriage, kids, routine, a ready-made kit. No need to think. But this comfort costs your freedom to be anything else. Camus understood this well. The search for meaning is the most human lie. The universe answers with silence, and that silence terrifies us. Tradition is the noise we use to drown it out. Have kids. Build something bigger than yourself. Not out of love, but to suffocate the discomfort of a life without a script. The truth is harsh. Life has no mission. It is not a task. It is possibility. And possibility scares us. So we cling to the oldest cages and call them wisdom. You owe yourself a life that is yours. Not borrowed, not inherited. Yours. Nothing, not love, not children, not tradition, justifies abandoning yourself just to satisfy expectations. If you marry because you fear loneliness, you remain lonely. If you have kids to feel useful, you swap emptiness for exhaustion. If you follow a pre-designed purpose, you get anesthesia instead of life. You are free, which means you are responsible. Everything said so far leads to one point. You do not need to do anything. You can do everything, but only if you think for yourself. Marriage pressure, reproduction pressure, the pressure to be normal, all echoes from a world terrified of free people. Free people cannot be managed. Free people break cycles. The world gives you two options: be useful to the system, or be whole to yourself. Most will choose the first and call the second selfish. But how can it be selfish to refuse a life on autopilot? To refuse repeating what you do not want? To question? To stop the cycle? That is not selfishness. That is clarity. Chesterton once said that tradition is a convention that survived the death of the truth that created it. When truth leaves, only repetition stays. And repetition is not a moral argument. Your path does not need to make sense to anyone. It only needs to be true to you. Living like everyone else is easy. Living as yourself is intolerable for those who only know how to imitate. But the question remains, what hurts more? The criticism of others, or the regret of never having been who you really were? In the end, only one question matters. Will you live, or will you obey? Most people live inside a script they never chose. They marry because it is expected, have kids because it is tradition, and call it purpose because questioning it feels like betrayal. But if you are here, it is because something in you refuses to live on autopilot. You think for yourself. You push past the surface. You notice what others ignore. And that already makes you part of this community. If you want to strengthen this space for free thinkers, becoming a member helps more than you imagine. It keeps the channel alive and gives you access to content made for minds like yours. And if you prefer a one-time gesture, the Super Thanks button is a simple way to support the work. But even if you do nothing else, just watching, commenting, and sharing already helps enormously. Thank you for being here. You are part of this.